We're going to talk about some other nation states that are making moves into Bitcoin, which makes perfect sense, particularly from their region and not necessarily having some friends nearby. Now, talking about the escalating war, changes in the monetary system, what are countries going to do? They're going to feel insecure. They're going to have some issues. They're going to want to protect themselves. And again, I think when Russia was kicked off the SWIFT system and their US dollar assets were seized, I think that was a major warning that that isn't a safe place to keep them. So where else might you keep them? Well, historically, I'm wondering if you remember this, Gary. This photo and these photos circulated around a long time ago as well, too, that back in 2003. Now, I do believe, if I remember the story correctly, it was like verified, or like all the stuff was taken to Kuwait and was later returned to Iraq. But still, when there's military conflict going on in the world and gold being a tangible asset, it kind of has the weak point of being a tangible asset.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the George Clooney movie, Three Kings. I know how this works.
We had, in 2003, American troops seized 868 million worth of gold bars from a truck in Iraq. These are their photographs and their findings featured in Saddam Hussein's gold vault. So, again, if gold's not the answer, if treasuries aren't the safe place to be, where are these countries going to naturally pivot to? Bitcoin, obviously Bitcoin. So, you guys might recognize this fine gentleman right here. Michael Saylor is just to the left there. We got breaking: Pakistan's finance minister and state minister on crypto just talked with Michael Saylor about Bitcoin. Now, for anyone that might not be familiar, it's not necessarily completely hostile, but the relationship between Pakistan and Israel is not necessarily great. And so again, having something that people can't seize, having something that might benefit from war money printer go burr is not necessarily a bad idea. And I think we're going to, again, guys, I am a anarcho-capitalist. I am not a fan of any government. I hate all states equally. That's my opinion. You don't necessarily share that, but I think that they're going to ultimately come in, that they're going to get involved in Bitcoin, but governments, again, at the end of the day, are just people, and that it will eventually lead to a better world and ultimately the downfall as well, too. When you can't, I had a wonderful conversation with Canute about this. When you can't steal money, taxation doesn't really exactly work. So we got a long way to go, but I still think it's important for the overarching journey. So let's hear what Michael Saylor had to say.
Your time today. I'll stay in touch with Bilal. I would offer you just one final thought, which is it's a global economy. Pakistan has many brilliant people, and a lot of people do business with you. My company had less than $400 million to invest, but the markets gave me $40 billion because they trust us. And so the most important thing is leadership, intellectual leadership, and that they trust you. If the world trusts you and they hear your words and you speak articulately, the capital and the capability will flow to Pakistan. It's there. It wants to find a home. And that's what happened with our company. Our success is because we were clear and committed. And once the market decides who the leader is, they get behind the leader and they send their money to you. And I think they'll do it to Pakistan too. You have the most important thing, which is you have a commitment and a will and clarity here. So I look forward to working with you.
Right. And recently we had also at the Bitcoin conference, Pakistan announces Bitcoin strategic reserve. Head of Pakistan's crypto council announced on May 28th that the country is moving to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Again, new monetary system, global neutral asset. Seems to be the kind of the way that things are going. Speaking at Bitcoin 2025 conference in Las Vegas, Saqib said that government of Pakistan followed the United States lead in establishing a Bitcoin strategic reserve and is embracing a pro-crypto regulatory policy. Now, Gary, I want to get your thoughts on this, but one thing I do want to point out that I think is kind of the benefit that maybe isn't necessarily always seen by people as well too. Again, I'm very much so in not getting on a political soapbox, but I'm an anti-war kind of person. That's my biggest thing. I just don't want to see violence or conflicts. I don't really care about either team. I just want to see peace and prosperity and people not being hurt.
Yeah, how about no blown up kids? That'd be a nice start. That'd be great.
It seems like a low bar, low threshold there. Yeah. And with this too, the point that I want to make is that everyone's moving towards Bitcoin, they're all trading with one another. If you to take a extreme example, but I still think a relevant one, you look at something like the historical relationship between England and France, right? And how those countries just kept going back and forth with blows and kept fighting and never once seemed to be able to kind of get on the same page. But as soon as countries start trading with one another, as soon as currency and goods pass over borders, bullets and guns stop, right? Yeah. That essentially that is the end point. That when your incentives are aligned, like I'm better off, like you don't have to be friends with somebody to trade with them and still
Oh, sure.
benefit from it,
Yeah.
that it is moving to a more peaceful world. And again, that's my position. It's not going to be shared by everybody. Number go up is great too, but I like to see these sort of advancements. I think it moves us in the right direction. Pakistan getting into Bitcoin. Sailor's thoughts there. Gary, what do you see?
I mean, it all makes sense. We talked about in the previous segment how we saw that scene of this giant thing of gold bricks that our soldiers seized in Iraq, and Sailor made this point years ago that in all wars, the first thing the invading army does is go look for the gold and seize the gold, because that's where the value is. And either give us the gold or we'll kill you, or we'll just kill you flat out and get the gold. With Bitcoin, you can't do that, because if you kill the people that have the information for the private keys, you don't get any of the wealth. So it's a thing where you just can't say, I kill you and I take it. Now, I suppose you could try to torture it out of somebody. I mean, nothing's perfect, but it makes sense in a lot of ways for people to want to move into Bitcoin from gold. And that's just one of many other reasons. And I will just put a little addendum to what you said earlier about you being an ANCAP and you hate all governments equally. I'm also sort of a libertarian ANCAP type. I definitely dislike the idea of the state all around. I'll concede that some governments are better than others. So, I mean, if you give me the choice to live in Switzerland or North Korea, maybe I'll take Switzerland.
Yes, from a practical standpoint,
I can
definitely say that, like, if I'm going to be ruled by somebody, I can definitely pick and choose what might be the best one there. Yeah. I'm not sure I would pick Carney in this situation. So being stuck here in Canada, I'm not sure is necessarily a win. Fair. And I did want to point to, because you're absolutely right, that wars are going to be, a lot of times it's going to be resource driven, right? We're going to try and get something. You're right. As soon as somebody goes in, you're seizing everything that you can, whether it be the currency or the gold. And the other one too is the tax cattle that we talk about, how, like, the US dollar is backed by essentially the taxpayer, that you're going to have that future economic productivity. And that wonderfully, Bitcoin is so wonderful because it means that if you can't tax and you can't seize it, those are two of the major incentives for invading another country completely taken off the table. There's no point anymore. It makes war unaffordable. It makes war unnecessary. Right?
I love pie in the sky Bitcoin ideals. I would say it makes war less affordable, because people want to do something, they're going to find a way to do it, but it makes it less affordable, less likely, and probably shorter wars. I'll say that. Do you need me to pull up that $8 trillion price again to say that, like, it's already unaffordable? It just means they can't steal it. I really want to believe in, the great future of flying cars with Bitcoin. There's always that skeptic in the back of my mind, but I hope you're right.
Let me break this down for my fellow Bitcoiners. In just 8 weeks, I've seen a serious shift. More strength, more energy, and fast muscle gains. The reason? FITSCRIPT. They ran 124 biomarkers, blood, hormones, inflammation, and built a fully custom plan: nutrition, training, supplements. No guesswork, no templates. This is functional medicine meets precision fitness for high-performing men who want sovereignty over their health. If you care about optimization the way you care about your money, test, don't guess. Don't trust, verify. Hit the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen to check out FITSCRIPT and see what's possible.
If you've been around Bitcoin for more than a minute, you've definitely seen something made by CryptoCloaks. Since 2017, they've been the go-to for badass 3D printed Bitcoin gear, from custom home mining rigs to sleek hardware wallet mounts that make your setup look pro. I've been stacking Cloaks gear for years, and most recently I grabbed their Gamma case for my miner. Let me tell you, it turns some heads. You can customize everything, and of course, the legendary Bitcoin grenade, yeah, that's them. Hit the link in the show notes or scan the QR code to visit CryptoCloaks.com and stack your own custom Cloaks gear today.